Uh, Good morning, everyone. Sir, we will be starting in 5 minutes. We'll wait for the other participant to join. We'll start at 10:05. So we will be starting now. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the workshop of the Anveshan. I feel greatly honored to introduce to you all with the Mr. Dharamveer Yadav, who is currently pursuing his PhD from the Center of Research in Nanotechnology and Science at IIT Bombay, India. He has kindly agreed to host this workshop on carbon composite materials for organic contamination removal. So now will invite Dharamveer sir for taking forward from here.
So before starting the workshop, I just want to, so will it be a little bit interactive, like can the participants maybe raise your hands or maybe indicate in the chat box if they can write and we can see and then make it more interactive, or is it possible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They can raise their hands if they have any queries, and they can also type in the chat for any queries, and then ask. It will be a full interactive session.
Okay, that will be it. So that is fine. If anyone having any doubt in between, we can discuss it because it's a workshop. It's not kind of a talk, and I will keep on delaying talk and we'll be having. So it's free. Like if you have any question in between, also we can stop and discuss that one. So before starting, I also want to know. So maybe students can type in the chat box about their background. They are maybe UG, PG, or any background they will belong. So we will be knowing like, okay, what are our audience, and then we can go with that.
Hi, Dharamveer sir. Sorry to interrupt you. Could you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Could you please move your mic to mic quite
Hello.
dim? I cannot hear you.
Okay. 1 minute. So now it's audible.
It is audible still, quite dim.
How about now?
Better.
Okay.
Yeah, this works. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Otherwise, I will be keep on speaking, and if no one has pointed out, it's like no one is able to hear properly. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Here, first we are discussing about the carbon composite materials for organic contaminant removal. So before going to the composite materials, first we will go for the organic contaminants and why they are important and why we are looking for some solutions. What is the problem? Is it how severe? How much severe it is? So we will go accordingly. So, yeah, very first you can see in the slide, it's delicious breakfast is there, and everyone, I assume, they have their own breakfast. So just think about what you have in the breakfast. 1 minute, and then what is it made up of? Like, what is the basic composition? So it's mostly maybe carbohydrate, protein, lipids, fats, and all these are made up of mostly compounds containing carbon. So it is having carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. And if compounds are made up of with carbon containing all these other compounds, then we will say that as organic compounds. So when organic compounds are all around us in the nature also, we need them, then why we will be having problems with organic contaminants? Why these organic compounds are not having some problem with our system, or why we are discussing today about this organic contaminant. So this is the one point you can think about. Just think about any organic compound that you have maybe seen, or maybe any formula of organic compound you have seen, maybe carbohydrate, fats, Just remember it and see its composition. It's carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. Yes. Organic, it means it's a living matter or coming from some live entity or basic composition that I have already told. So these are the organic compounds uh, that we have in the practice or we have in the nature. So can I ask audience, maybe at this time everyone is maybe at their room or home, and because due to this situation we will be having this online thing. So can you just pick up bottle of your shampoo or maybe deodorant or anything just nearby you? Can you take it for a moment? Because we will be with the learning, we will be seeing how they are present all around us and how they are affecting us. So it's 1 minute. You can just go and take one bottle of shampoo, soap, deodorant in your room, anywhere. Just pick it up and keep it with yourself, and we will uh, discuss or maybe have a look maybe in the next few minutes. So if anyone is not having, they can also search about some shampoo bottle online and have a look. So if it is in your real in your hand, that will be great. You can see it, and when we will be needing to see the ingredients, you can have a look on them. So organic compounds, a little bit idea we have. So why this problem with contaminants have occurred? So thing is when there are like natural organic compounds, that is completely fine, system is working very well. But the instant when the synthetic organic compounds come in the picture, so very first time in 80s 20, one of the German scientists, Frederick Woher, he is working with some compounds like inorganic compounds, and he prepared urea. So the very first time when he is prepared this urea, like an organic compound from the inorganic materials, and generally this urea is made in the kidney human body. And that point in the 80s 20, once the first organic compound has synthesized, then it's come to be like keep on searching for new methods of synthesizing organic compounds. So these organic compounds, just I will be having slide to have a look. So organic compounds like benzene, toluene, xylene. So all these are like solvent compounds. Other than solvents, we have like cleaning also. So dry cleaning, we need again organic compounds. Then we have this polyvinyl chloride and dichlorobenzene, trichlorobenzene. So all these benzene compounds and these PCBs, very dangerous, polychlorinated biphenyls, we will discuss. So all these compounds, so these are just some of the selected compounds that I have put here. So now we will go to the broad class of the compound. So if we will go for the broader class of the compounds, we will see like the pesticides, herbicides also, pharmaceuticals, antibiotics, insecticides. So all the names you have heard or maybe you have seen also some of them, pharmaceuticals, maybe you will be taking them for your medication. Solvents also in the laboratory, in the industry, multiple places we are using them. Plastics, no need to introduce, no need to say any word. And food additives. Food additives also initially in from 80s to 90s not in the practice, but now slowly food additives are very much prominent, and their adverse effect is significant, and we will see it. Detergents is also there, paints is also there, or volatile organic compounds. So these are the different class of compounds that are growing continuously due to synthesis or synthetic organic compounds. So once these compounds are coming the picture from 80s, 20s, and we are continuously synthesizing them, mostly around the World War II, lot of new these organic compounds have synthesized, and without concerning about their impact and their effect, So slowly, when they are affecting humans, environment, and population, also aquatic animals, then from some of the studies, it's coming. These are the special group of compounds, and then they will be putting them in a special category, and around the globe they will be giving some names like contaminants of emerging concern. So this is the main concern because they are impacting very high. Again, the emerging contaminants, because previously they are not there, but now they are emerging. They are coming from somewhere. So they do not know about sometimes source, and they just see they are the contaminants coming somewhere in the nature. Micropollutants. So these pollutants are these compounds are dissolved or very small molecular weight compounds. They also call that micropollutants. Persistent organic pollutants. This term is also come in picture when because these compounds are persistent in the system, so they are not going away. How they are persistent, that we will also see. And endocrine disruptive compounds. So this is also a special class where we will say they disturb our endocrine system of human body. So this is very dangerous. These compounds may contain your, so these endocrine disruptive compounds can be in your bottle also or daily use also. So if you have taken your shampoo or maybe deodorant, just have a look on the content. So so on the back side or maybe where there is MRP is written, you can see contents in that shampoo or deodorant or any soap box. So just go through it and just have a look. All these compounds that are present there. Have you ever look about these compounds, try to read them, try to search about them? Is this compound is good? Okay. What are the adverse impact? The endocrine compound or not? So maybe this you can keep as a homework, or maybe if you have done it before, that is great. But if not, then just try to search about the compounds that are written on your product. Try to search on and try to find out if these compounds are okay or they having some toxicity, acute toxicity. So that is for homework. We'll go ahead. So initially we have discussed about these compounds. So now we will come to the source of these compounds. So just give a thought about sources. So you will be always thinking about the industry where they are manufacturing, but from the industry where they are manufacturing is not coming to us directly. They are coming through some means where we are using. If we will say they are coming through like pharmaceuticals, food also, food preservatives, human body and animals, they also excrete number of hormones in the system, and the plastic bottles, personal care products. So other than that, I have just asked about the deodorant and maybe shampoo. There are number of personal care products that keep on increasing and building up, and these compounds are continuously persistent also in the system. So they are going in the water somewhere, maybe in the morning or evening, anytime where you are having bath and all these things. So they will be in the water system, and they are keep on increasing their concentration. So how the concentration is building up and how these compounds becoming dangerous slowly and slowly. Here, have a look. How these roots and how these compounds are continuously circulating around us. So very first, if we start from the agriculture. So in the agricultural land, when we like spray the pesticides or herbicides, uh, then what happened? So they get accumulated also, and also they will go with the discharge. So once they are going through the discharge, so with the discharge they are going to the water stream, and if they are absorbed by the like accumulated in them, then they are directly coming to the human contact as we are consuming the agricultural product in number of ways. Next is element husbandry. Here, so the water is coming from there, and also the hormones and steroids that are secreted from there, and number of steroids are also given to the animals. So this point, especially for animal husbandry or maybe fish farming, there are number of compounds that get accumulated and also coming through the maybe their animal products to humans directly and also going through the water stream. Industry is one of the biggest producer, so the product is also coming directly to the humans, and also the waste that is going from the industry in the very large quantity that is going to the wastewater treatment. If it is not going to the wastewater treatment, it is directly discharged into the any maybe water source, maybe river, pond, lake, or maybe sea. So any discharge that is coming through the wastewater treatment plant, that is good, but still the conventional wastewater treatment plants, there is no treatment system for these special organic compounds or emerging organic compounds, or we will say endocrine disruptive compounds. So in the conventional wastewater treatment plant system, we do not have any special unit for their treatment. So they will be going directly to the river system. And from the human residence also, the water and the wastewater that is flowing to the sewer line, and that is also going to the wastewater treatment plant, and again they are not treating with them. With the hospitals, so all the pharmaceuticals and other, so they in the hospitals also we will be having a separate discharge system for these hospital waste. But if it is not efficient, it is again going to the wastewater treatment plant, and if it is not, then it will be maybe somewhere in the river or water source. So what will happen generally in the river, where we will be having the drinking water, and also we will be discharging the wastewater. So what will happen in the river, if we see maybe somewhere in the upstream, if some discharge is there, and in the discharge we will be having all these organic compounds, and in the downstream it get diluted in the river, but in the downstream somewhere when we will be taking the drinking water as a source, so that will be directly, so these compounds will not be treated in the wastewater treatment plant, or if treated, they are not efficiently removed in that way. So they will be in the river water, and then they will go back to the agricultural system, or maybe animals or industry. From here, they will be like some amount of these compounds will be already in the water, that will be heavy, and again when it will be discharged, it will again coming. So it's a cycle, like it's keep on accumulating in the water system, and they will be like persistent. So they will be there, and their concentration is keep on increasing with the time. So that's why they say these compounds are persistent, because we are not able to remove them efficiently, and they are in the system. So in the cycle, they will be keep on moving, and their concentration is increasing. So this is how their sources and their roots of these organic compounds are. So now we will discuss about the impact, how adverse impact they are having. So I will tell you one of the incident that happened in the North Carolina River. So what happened there? So fishermen, they have found that the male fish in the river, they are also hatching eggs. So once they have observed that thing, they will be like a little bit shocked, and some people like take it like in a funny way, like how male fish can hatch eggs. Then it's a serious issue. Like you can think in a funny way, but it's really a serious issue. And once the study has been done, and it is found that with the time, these male fishes, they are converting into the female. And the reason, when it's analyzed the water samples, then they have found the higher concentration of steroids have made a significant change in the complete this endocrine system of the male fishes. So it's a very alarming situation, where if all the these male fish convert in the female fish, that will lead to the extinction of the fishes in the river. So after one time, there will be no fish in the river, because all the this fish has converted to the single side. So here you can see also in the studies, they have clearly observed that with the time, these male fish has grown, and they are having this egg hatching, and they are developing these organs. So this is the impact on the small animals in the aquatic system. Similarly, they will be having similar impact on the human body also and other aquatic systems also. So if we will see, if we will be like looking for if fish in the fish farming also. So in the fish farming, what they will do, so what they need a fish that will be grow in the size. So they will give them steroids so that they will know the fish will not fetch eggs. So if they are not fetching eggs, means they will be growing their size. But the steroids that are given to the fish, they will be keep on accumulating in the fish. So that will be accumulating in the fish, and once you are going to uh, eat that fish, especially any female human is going to eat that fish, so that accumulated steroid is also going to the female body, female human body. And there are number of studies reported where they have number of complications during the pregnancy due to special in the special regions where they have used this fish farming, and they have like consumed for longer time the fish that will be in the specific area where maybe sometimes not, especially in the fish farming, there are once somewhere there is an industrial discharge in the sea also, and the farming has happening nearby the sea. That the coastal region also nearby farmers or nearby these fish farmers, they will also get affected. So their this childbirth or their in the deformation in their basic understanding and maybe their nervous system, all number of complications has been reported due to consumption of these kinds of aquatic animals that will be affected by these organic compounds. In human body also, if we see how it is going to affect the human body, so if we will look about these endocrine disruptive compounds, so these compounds mainly affect our endocrine system, so our gland or hormone system. This is a very important and very crucial part in the body. Once our hormonal system or this endocrine system get disturbed, it becomes very serious problem. So these compounds directly attack on that our endocrine system, because they will be having same functional or same molecular structure that is going to attach on the our receptor of these hormones. So if you having in your body, there are some receptors for these endocrine compounds, and these compounds go directly and either they enhance the response or they will suppress the response. So in that way, they will be affecting it very severely. So that can lead to the change in the female reproductive system that we have also seen in the fish prominently. Uh, Premature ovary failure that I have also explained about how it will be happening in number of regions due to maybe from the consumption of direct consumptions or maybe indirect consumptions from the bioaccumulation of other species. Increase the chances of infertility also in the males and females. Female temporarily or permanently, that can also be there are cases that have been reported. And testicular cancer and decline in the other than these endocrine disruptive compounds, we have these PCBs and other organic compounds that are also, they will say, is like emerging concern. So they will also affect our these lungs, brain, or our cognitive skills. So they can be carcinogenic also, affect the skin rigorously in the some of the regions in India. They have also reported how this thermal toxicity is taking place due to these effluents. Xenotoxicity that will be taking with the time, longer time with when they will be exposed for maybe generations and get exposed. Then immunoresponsive. Okay, so in this one, what happened when they will be, so they are not coming directly through the water. They can also be in the air. So see your deodorant. So that is in air. Maybe when these compounds having these PCBs or organic compounds get burned somewhere. So in the air also we will be having these compounds. So that is also the sudden impact we will be having on our neurotoxicity, and we will be consuming with through the water also. So through the water or direct application of these cosmetic compounds on the on the daily routine we will be using them. So they will be affecting very slowly, but sometimes if the intake concentration is very high, that will be impact very significantly. So now we will go for how these compounds behave in the system, the natural system, in the water system, and in the human body. So one of the governing factor is we will be having this low KOW of these compounds. So what is this low KOW? It's a ratio of the concentration of a compound absorbed in the octanol and the water. So what it means, its significance is, so if compound is having so this log KOW value is a unitless number, and it shows if a compound is having low KOW value is lesser, that means its tendency to be in the water is more. And if it is low KOW value is higher, that means its tendency to go to maybe some organic or maybe the soil. So if it is in the river system, so its tendency to go to the soil, it will be higher. And if it is low KOW value is less, its chances to be in the water is more. So for example, we have this azithromycin. So recently everyone know about this azithromycin. So this azithromycin is having the low KOW value of 4.02. That means it is having a tendency to be attached with more to the organic compounds, maybe in the human body, to more attached to the bioaccumulation, not to the water system. If a compound is having low KW value, very less, maybe less than 2.5, that is having more tendency to go in the water. So if you will be taking some pharmaceuticals or maybe medication, so if these compounds having their low KW value higher, that means they will be bioaccumulating in the human body. Maybe human body, and also we can say to the other aquatic animals also, to the fish also, any other animal that they are exposed to. So what happened in this case? So if a compound so if we will looking for the treatment, in that way, if they are having this low KW value higher, that means that is good. We can trap them easily on our maybe compound or maybe adsorbent, and we can easily remove from the water. If they will be having very less, so they have higher tendency to retain in the water. So, but it's a reverse in the practical situation when someone human is going to be consumed anyway due to exposure. So if it is low KW value is higher, that means that will be accumulating in the body. If it is less, then that will be going in the water. So if you will drink too much water, that will be go out. So so this is how these compounds stay in the aquatic system, also in the nature and in the human body. So what next? So these are the compounds, how they are affecting. So these are the problems that we are facing with these compounds that we have discussed here. So if we will go for the solution, so how we will be looking for a solution of these compounds? So if we will go for the removal method, so very first is, you can see here, there is a very big treatment plant. So full scale wastewater treatment plant. So that is the very first point where we can track them. And so here is the wastewater treatment plant, and you can see all the waste that is coming from this industry, animal husbandry, or maybe residential area or hospital. All they are coming to the wastewater treatment plant. So this is the one point where we can track them, and we can remove them or try to remove them as much as possible from the system. So if they go from there, or they will lose from here, wastewater treatment plant, then they will be going back or coming back to us, maybe directly to us, in maybe through the drinking water also, because in the drinking water we will be not removing these special treatment for these compounds. So this is the one point where we can track them. So in the conventional treatment plants, they are not efficient, or they do not have specific units for removing them. But in the developed countries, when they have faced these problems and they have modified it, So conventional treatment plants has been modified and they have been equipped with new units. So in the same plant, they have extra unit for treatment of these compounds. That will be number of ways they have developed it. So that can be like with the oxidation also, membrane with the membrane also, material system also. Material system comes to be very efficient in that way. So how these materials going to be trapped, that is completely depends upon the compounds, what kind of compounds they will be having, and what is their pK and log Kw value, like how the compound behave in the nature. Yes. So in the removal methods, one we have this free-scale treatment plant system. So if these treatment plant systems, when we are adding extra units, and these units are in the practice and we are trying them, but still they are not efficient, and we will be developing like small units. So there are laboratory scale based methods are also, and they are in the literature they will be showing like good efficiency, good effects on the removal, but on the lab scale. So when the system from the lab scale, they will go to the actual full scale treatment plant, their efficiency will change. So that is the one scalability problem will always be there. But slowly these material systems, they are now in the practice, and how these advanced material or nano advanced materials, they will be trying to accumulate more and more compounds simultaneously from the system. So these are so in the removal methods. So these methods are basically for the plants that we have. So in the different plants we have different methods, and different units are accordingly. Physical methods are there, chemical methods, biochemical, biological, and final disinfection units are there. So these different methods are there. So in these different methods in the treatment plant system, so these compounds are dissolved, not going to be removed by these gravity separation. There is a chances if we have membrane for specific separation of these compounds. In that way, we can restrain some of the compounds. Chemical methods are there, but in the chemical methods, we are adding some extra chemicals again to remove some compounds. So we will be contaminating water and again removing them back. So in that way, if we will look for some adsorbents, some material systems that can be efficiently trap them and them. So if you look for some sorbent materials, so if we talk about the materials, then we will be having about the inorganic or natural organic or synthetic materials. So these materials can be used to trap these compounds. So, if we use directly one of the organic material or natural organic material, their efficiency and their recyclability is not up to the mark. So, what we can think about, so for the composite material. So if we think about the composite material, means we will be mixing different materials to achieve their properties in such a way that the combined effect of the properties will be achieving, and they will be absorbing these contaminants and reused. So how we will be having some inorganic adsorbents are there. So once they will be used, and then again we will be reusing them. So in that case, if we will club two different sorbent materials, so in that way we will be reusing that multiple times, and that will increase the efficiency of the system, as we are not generating a waste continuously. We will be reusing and removing these organic compounds frequently. The composite materials, we will be merging the compounds in such a way that we will be enhancing the effect that we want. So if a compound, we have large number of compounds present in this water system or getting exposed in the number of ways. So if we will modify these materials so that we will be able to accumulate large number of compounds. So if one compound is there that is having specific affinity towards one adsorbent, if we will mix this one and we will modify its surface, or we will incorporate other compounds, so that will increase the efficiency for other compounds also, because in the water we will be having this cocktail of a number of compounds, and the single compound adsorption will be different from the uh, complete all real matrix of the pollutants. So this is the problem, and we can go for the solution. So for the solution, here we will be not putting a one particular solution for removal of all these compounds. So there are number of materials, and as a uh, material scientist, we can think about different ways how we can composite the materials to enhance the efficiency. So in one of the maybe invited talks, there maybe Professor E. Jain, they will be delivering a lecture on nano-engineered materials. So that will be the continuation of how these nano-engineered materials will be used for treatment of all these different compounds, and how we can judiciously use these material systems for removal of all these organic compounds. Thank you. Hello. So anyone having any question?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, sir. Thank you for such a fantastic workshop. Now, I would like to ask participants if they have any question, they can ask directly to Dharamveer sir, or either they can raise their hands and we will proceed in a linear fashion. So both the things would work. So if there is any question, please ask. Yeah, so I can see Ashish Maurya asking for something. So Ashish, please. Yeah. Wait a second. Wait a second. Now, can you turn your mic on, Ashish? Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. Can you hear? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Actually, I have doubt between two terms, like organic contaminants and organic pollutants. So, can you differentiate between these two terms?
Okay. So when we will say organic contaminants and organic pollutants, so what happened with the time? So I have also mentioned in the slides, like how these terms come in the picture. So it's almost the same. These contaminants and pollutants, they are in the nature. So almost they are indicating directly on all these compounds that will be having in the nature. So all these pesticides, pharmaceuticals, antibiotics. So these almost similar terms are there, and they will be specific mentioning about how these compounds are there. So there is a little bit difference in these terms, but these contaminants and pollutants, they are almost similar.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
So I don't think there is any questions left. Out of curiosity, I would like to ask a question to you, Dharamveer sir. Like,
Yeah.
which kind of shampoo should we use for a normal hair?
Okay. So that I think I'm not able to answer, like what kind of shampoo we should use, because see the you just observe how we will be using these shampoos before, like maybe when we are kids or our parents, they will be not using it. So the impact of these natural things, that they will be using mud or all these things on their head to clean all these things. They are not using these oils also. So oils is also, so what we will be putting, we will so also see on the oil also what the ingredients of the oil is there. So we will be putting something on the forehead, and then again we are using the shampoo, some other organic compounds to clean that one. Then again something. So continuously we are loading these compounds on our head. So the situation you can see, like uh, before, or maybe grandparents, they will be having very good hairs, or maybe full hairs on the head, but now in situation you can see every third, fourth person hairs are gone. So I'm not sure like which is the best one, but you can do your homework, just search about the like ingredients, they are there. So there are also sometimes they will not mention every ingredient is there, because government is also restricting some of the very acute toxic compounds they are, if they are using there. So if they come in the picture, and they will be banned in that way. So sometimes they will be like uh, using this dilemma and making some different names sometimes, and they will not mention sometime also. So this
Yeah,
is the thing.
yeah, true, true. So one more question just popped out.
Yeah.
What is the difference between what would you suggest on allopathy-driven shampoos and Ayurveda-driven shampoos? Because Ayurvedic products are also made of chemicals only.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
So so Ayurvedic, so we cannot say they are made up of chemicals. So what we have seen here. So what are the organic compounds? Organic compounds are also present everywhere, in our food also, in vegetations also. So if any compound is coming from some vegetation, some natural grown system, they will be, so they will be, these compounds will be also there. They can have effect on our body also. But especially if we will be having some compounds that will be having special these chlorinated functional groups, or maybe benzene attached with chlorinated groups, they will be specially synthesized and they will be used somewhere. Then they will be having much more adverse impact than simple molecules having carbon, hydrogen, or maybe their these uh, normal sulfur, nitrogen attached compounds. So in natural systems, we will not having these benzene attached with chlorinated compounds. So in this Ayurveda, they will be taking some these herbs from some plants and uh, some bushes there. So they will be collect there, and if they are using from there, I think that can be good. But if you will be synthesizing somewhere, and you are going for a special functional group, you will going to attach to cure something, but that will be having some adverse impact also on the body.
yeah, right, right. So we shall proceed with vote of thanks. And before that, if anyone has question, they can ask right now. Yeah, I guess no questions are left, so I'll proceed with vote of thanks. So first of all, it is such a serious matter of concern. I personally didn't know. Like I presume the same follows with most of the attendees present over here, and I would like to thank Mr. Dharamveer sir for letting us know about this. And I would also like to say this. Around a month back, Anveshan team, mainly Ronak, Amit, was looking up for workshops to be held under Anveshan, and they asked me if I could help with this. Then I just dropped a WhatsApp message to one of my IT Bombay connections, and surprisingly, and at the same time, fortunately, it all got settled within an hour. So I would personally like to thank Mr. Dharamveer for accepting the invitation and now delivering such a fantastic workshop. I would like to extend this by wishing you all the best for all your future endeavors. And now I would now like to thank the organizing team, which I am a part of course, and faculty members, dignitaries, and all the participants for their active presence in session. And thanks once again, you all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Arvind. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone, for attending. So basically, I haven't go for the solution because as a material scientist, you can look for different materials and think about it. Maybe next time I will come with the solution, because this time I think we will be put the main focus on the problem, and
Yeah.
then you will be start thinking about, okay, this is the problem. Now we can think about some solutions and all these things. So that's it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and just a small reminder, there tomorrow there is one more workshop, and the title goes as the Introduction to Fabrication and Modeling of Photonics Devices, and which will be conducted by Sweta Rani ma'am, and she is again from IIT Bombay, and you are cordially invited to attend therein. And the lecture is scheduled and the workshop is scheduled from 9 to 10 morning only tomorrow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you, sir.